Hello, and welcome back to the PuckMonkey Report. Today, Kevin Fiala has been traded to the LA Kings. The Minnesota Wild traded Kevin Fiala in exchange for the Kings' 2022 first-round pick, 19th overall, and defenseman prospect Brock Faber. The Kings side. The LA Kings looking to go back into the playoffs after losing to the Oilers in 7 games without Drew Doughty and Victor Arvidsson. The LA Kings have a great core of veterans from the Cup-winning days, as well as a lot of intriguing prospects such as Quayton Byfield, Alex Turcotte, and Brant Clark, just to name a few. I felt like one of the needs that the Kings needed to fill in the offseason was to get a top 6 winger. I saw Fiala, Forsberg, and even Johnny Gaudreau as options, but the Kings ultimately chose Kevin Fiala. Last season, Fiala had a slow start, but ended up the 2021-2022 season as a point-per-game player, scoring 33 goals and 52 assists for 85 points in 82 games. One thing to note is that in the first round for the Wild, Kevin Fiala had an underwhelming playoffs, having only 3 assists and taking 8 penalties in 3 games against the St. Louis Blues in 6 games. With this move in place, the Kings now have a great top 6, consisting of Alex Iafallo, Anze Kopitar, and Adrian Kempe on the top line, for instance, and Kevin Fiala, Philip Deneau, and Victor Arvidsson on their second line. The Wild's side. Bill Guerin, GM of the Minnesota Wild, knew that biting the bullet and buying out Ryan Suter and Zach Parise from their lengthy and expensive contracts would have serious cap implications in the future. The Wild are in what you would call cap hell. For the 2022-2023 season, the Wild have $12 million in dead cap allocated from the Suter and Parise buyouts, respectively. The Wild knew they would have to trade one of their bigger contracts, like Matt Zuccarello or Matt Dumba, but they were already under contract, or Kevin Fiala, who was in need of a new contract. Fiala had a phenomenal regular season and needed a hefty extension. Unfortunately, the Wild could not afford his services, so they traded him. For the next 3 seasons, the Wild will have to rely on a lot of cheap contracts, such as Frederick Gaudreau, Ryan Hartman, and Marcus Foligno, as well as their young guns to take a bigger role in the next 3 seasons. The Wild have some great prospects in their pipeline, whether it's Matt Boldy, Marco Rossi, Carson Lambos, or goaltending prospect Jesper Wallstedt. The Wild will have to be relying on Kirill the Thrill Kaprizov to carry the load, as well as these cheap contracts that I mentioned and ELCs to keep the Wild in playoff contention for these next 3 years in cap hell. 19th overall pick. 19th overall pick as of right now is Magic Beans. The 2022 draft, in my opinion, is a very deep draft with names like Shane Wright, Juraj Slavkovsky, and Logan Cooley projected to be the top 3 picks. I could see the Wild going after a forward prospect since the 2021 draft. They selected defenseman prospect Carson Lambos and goaltending prospect Jesper Wallstedt. If, let's say, Frank Nazar or Brad Lambert were to drop to 19th, I could see the Wild easily taking him. I feel like drafting Frank Nazar will be a safer bet for the Wild, as I think he has less things to work on. My thoughts on the trade. I think that the Kings won the trade. Fiala has proven that he is a high-end winger in the NHL, but I understand that the Wild probably didn't want to trade Kevin Fiala. I think that this trade shares the same framework as the Sam Reinhart trade, where we saw Buffalo trade Reinhart for a first and a goaltending prospect Devin Levi. Both Reinhart and Fiala were RFAs in need of a contract. As I was recording this video, I saw that the Kings extended Kevin Fiala for 7 years at $7.9 million AAV. I think this is a great deal, as Fiala was a point-per-game player, and if he were to repeat his production from last season, this could easily be a steal of a deal. Some contract comparables are Ottawa's captain, Brady Tkachuk, who's a little bit younger and has a bigger ceiling, in my opinion, than Kevin Fiala, but is still a great contract in the first place for Fiala, and Andrei Svechnikov, who also has a very high ceiling. What are your thoughts on the trade? I would love to know. Please leave them in the comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thank you for tuning into the PuckMonkey Report. See you next time.